Sigourney, I found because I didn't get there. Uh, I didn't really have any rehearsals with Sigourney, nor did we. I remember talking very much to her about the relationship between her and Hicks, and uh, I found Sigourney to be a little bit like Ripley, and I think that she was kind of my take on it was that she was Ripley when she was on the set. I didn't socialize with Sigourney, and I don't know Sigourney to this day off the set. I've seen her at a screening here and there for Aliens, but whenever I saw her, she was on the set, and I always felt that she was kind of being Ripley all the time, or that the character kind of overrided whoever Sigourney is, because I felt Ripley a lot.
In the course of the film, I did have hard days where, playing this hysteric. I remember the scene that was very difficult for me, which was the scene where I have to say, oh, 17 days, God, we're not going to make it, and God, she lasted longer, and she lasted 17 days, well, why don't you put her in charge, and all that. It was a very hard scene. I remember we did it after lunch, and I remember we were standing there, and I just didn't know. I was having a bit of trouble with that, and I remember just kind of touching her hand, because we were both at the table facing each other. I just kind of touched her hand, and we just had a moment where we looked into each other's eyes, and it was kind of like, God, I'm having a hard time. Just hang on with me. And she was there.
I thought that the scenes that we played, she's got an incredible softness to her that you don't see that often in films, which I thought we captured. There's a couple of scenes in it, and you can see her how she feels about Hicks. You can see in her eyes. There's something you can see that she really, really likes this guy, really trusts him, and likes him. And it's not just the scene where I switch the watches with her or whatever. There's a look in her eye, which is a softness, which is a really something that obviously Sigourney Weaver, you see, that she has in life, and it is a little part of Ripley, but Ripley was like this tough, kind of jaded by the second one around, independent, fiercely independent woman, that didn't want to depend on anybody, didn't trust anybody, and I found that, she was like that on the set, and she dealt mostly with Jim, and I don't remember having a lot of like, hey, Sigourney, what don't you think we should like do this and do that? Like, what about this and how do you feel? And a lot of those scenes too, when you think about the scenes that I had with her, they were, most of those scenes like 4 or 5 line scenes sometimes, a page and a half in that movie was like a monster scene, and so there wasn't really that much to talk about either, but there was something very, very soft about Ripley when it came to Hicks. And I'm sure that Sigourney's the same way, but you just didn't see it that much because I think she was being Ripley on that. I think that role encompassed her. And I don't want to speak for her, but you talk about actors and roles kind of taking over, and she was like that on the set.
I got a peek at her script one day, and I was amazed just how annotated it was. I mean, just the annotations had annotations, and the way she had justified not only all of her lines, but all the other characters' lines. She works very hard and makes it look very simple. I've always admired her because she's a real, thinking actor. You really see the gears turning when you watch her. And she's a very smart person.
The one interesting thing about Sigourney is that prior to shooting, she has a routine that she goes through. And if she had done Gorillas in the Mist prior to the film, I would have attributed it to her preparation for that film. But she does some very intense facial exercises and almost primal grunting that sounds as if she's communicating with Digit in Gorillas in the Mist. And when you're prepared to do a very technically difficult scene and you see your lead actress running through those pre-take exercises, it can be a bit amusing.
And she kind of one of the guys in terms of she was called on to do a lot of physical hardships in the movie. You know, crash through windows and be rained on and have the thing around her throat. And I never heard her complain about any of that. I admired her for that. She was cool. She was good. She could tell a dirty joke, or she could be totally, ladylike. I mean, she's quite a character.